All right, so I want to show you guys today how to make tea from the leaves of Yaupon holly. Now, Yaupon holly is the only plant native to North America that contains caffeine. So we can actually make our own version of tea or coffee that can wake you up in the morning, which is pretty awesome. This is a pretty common plant. It's generally easy to find. As a tea, it contains antioxidants, it's anti-inflammatory, has chemicals like theobromine, which is the stuff in chocolate that's supposed to make you happy. And you can even steep the leaves longer than a regular green tea without them becoming bitter because they don't contain tannins. So you might wonder, why is this drink not more popular or more widely drunk here? Possibly because of the scientific name of this plant, which is Ilex vomitoria. And that comes from its use in the black drink by Native Americans. So if you want to learn more about that, you can watch my previous video about the ethnobotany of Yaupon holly. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that you have the correct plant. So Yaupon holly can be recognized by its dark green leathery leaves that have sort of a scalloped edge to them. Occasionally people mistake privet for Yaupon holly, but privet has opposite leaves where Yaupon holly has alternate leaves. And you can find it in any maritime forest or edge habitat. It's just really commonly growing in most places in the low country that aren't experiencing regular disturbance like fire. So what I like to do is take a container and just strip the leaves off of the branch, put them into the container. So what I do first is I take the leaves and I rinse them, drain off all the water to make sure that there's no germs or dirt left on the leaves. And then you want to make sure that they're completely dry before moving on to the next step. So I prepare the leaves a few different ways. Once they're washed and dried, for what I call the green tea preparation, I just put them in a paper bag and set them off to the side where they dry naturally for about a couple of weeks, once they're sort of crispy and easily to crush. For a light roast, I put the leaves in the oven at 200 degrees for around 30 minutes until they're golden in color. And for a dark roast, I put them in at 400 degrees for about 5 minutes. You have to watch those really carefully because they can burn easily and that makes a really gross taste for the tea. So you want to roast to the higher temperature until they look basically like the leaves that fall off of a live oak tree, the sort of dark orangey brown. So once the leaves are dried, I just crush them by hand. So they'll be pretty crispy. And then once they're all crushed up into relatively coarse pieces, you don't want it too fine or it gets sort of like that dust in it, I just store them in a mason jar as loose leaf tea. So to prepare your tea, take just boiled water and pour about 8 ounces over somewhere between 1 teaspoon and 1 tablespoon of leaves. Now I took the leaves and added them to these tea bags, but normally I just do it as loose leaf tea, so that's totally fine. And then you'll steep these for about 5 minutes. But like I said earlier, there's not so many tannins in Yaupon tea, so it's really hard to make it bitter. So you can steep it for longer than a normal cup. So I think the green tea really has a similar flavor profile to traditional green tea, sort of bright and grassy and light. The light roast has almost a nutty caramel flavor to it. And the dark roast is the closest in flavor to sort of a traditional cup of coffee, sort of dark and smoky. They taste completely different, so I think that's really cool about it is the different types of preparations can really result in a very different cup of tea, but they're all delicious. I like mine with just a little bit of sweetener. You can drink it plain or sweetened or even iced. And if you take the time to harvest and prepare your cup of tea, let me know how you like it.